Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining us. I have Brian Conte, CEO of Wild Noodle, on the show. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael.
I love the name. That is a great name. Before we get into your background or anything else, how did you come up with such a catchy name for a company?
Well, we wanted something that was fun, because the product itself is a game and it's fun to do. But we also wanted to connote the idea of intelligence and noodling on a problem. So that's where it came from.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right, background on you?
Let's see. I started with a computer science degree at Princeton. I worked at Microsoft in the early years. I was employee 225 and stayed there for about 5 years, worked on Windows. Then I did a series of startups, and Wild Noodle is my fourth startup. And over the years, I've had the chance to kind of interview and hire hundreds of developers and work with them side by side.
Okay, all right, I'm in the market. Now, but before we even go there, exploiting the need for top technical talent. That you're able to take a vacuum, a need that everybody has here and going forward, and turn it into a rev center. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, technical recruiting, as you know, is a huge problem, and it's a very important problem to solve. There are currently over 1 million programmer jobs in the U.S., growing at 24% a year. It's identified by most companies as a critical need. There are actually 6 times as many job openings as there are computer science majors, so very, very competitive space. The salaries are, over 100,000 each for starting salaries. Very, very expensive to do the recruiting, to bring them on board, and ultimately very critical for the company's success. So it's a huge problem, and it's an important problem for companies to solve.
Tell me how you're solving it.
Well, we find that the current process is inefficient and ineffective. It's inefficient because the way a recruiter will typically work, and say they're given a job, we need to fill this programmer, they'll reach out in their network, they'll run ads, they'll get literally hundreds of resumes, but because of the state of the job market, over half of them are just unqualified, even to start with. And then still they have hundreds to go through. They get an average of about 6 seconds to go through a resume and make a decision. These are largely non-technical recruiters. What a resume tells you is what school they went to, what jobs they've had, and what languages they know. But that's not really what determines what makes a great programmer. What makes a great programmer is their familiarity with core programming concepts, their problem-solving capabilities, their general intelligence. Those are what make and ability to learn. Those are what make a great candidate. So that's why it's really kind of inefficient and ineffective. So what we try to do is we've provided a service to assess candidates on their programming, on what we feel is important from a programming standpoint, which is exactly what I just mentioned. Familiarity with core programming concepts, problem-solving capabilities, and general ability to learn quickly. So we've structured a series of challenges of increasing complexity that test you on these core concepts. And we can go through a quick 30-minute assessment of someone, give them a score, show their percentile rank among all the programmers that have taken that test, and return that back to the recruiter. From the recruiter's perspective, it's as simple as sending them a link, and then as soon as they take the test, their score appears on their report.
So is that score based on the population that you've gone through with your state case study, or just specific to the company and the people applying to that company?
No, it's actually based on our overall database. We have over 20,000 users so far that have taken this test, so we're able to really assess people across the broad population.
All right. What is Herbert?
Yeah, Herbert is the name of the, I'll call it an assessment test for the purposes of the interview. It's really a combination game and assessment test. The recruiters use it as an assessment test. In other words, I'll send you a link, please take this test. It takes you 30 minutes, and then they'll get a score back. To the user, it appears, it's very gamified, so it appears as a game. One of the, kind of nice things that has happened with Wild Noodle over the years is we originally used this in conjunction with Microsoft's Imagine Cup. So we, for a couple of years, actually about 5 years, we heavily used Herbert with Imagine Cup users because Microsoft wanted to find the best programmers in the world as part of their competition. After that, honestly, I got busy with other stuff. I put Herbert on the shelf, and I was very surprised to find 5 years later that there were still communities of people all around the world playing this game just for fun, because they liked it, and that to me was a very strong sign that there was a potential here. So the reason that helps recruiters, the fact that it's gamified, is that it actually it helps them source candidates that might not be on the job market, might not reply to, or might not see a reply to an ad, but they are interested in programming in general and improving themselves and testing themselves against their peers and playing programming games, and that's, it attracts them.
Brilliant, brilliant. Brian, thanks for being a guest on the show. This is great.
Sure. Thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.